Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Mars transiting the 10th house in a natal chart. Now, on average, if your house is average size 30 degrees, Mars will traverse your house for approximately 2 months, but that is only if Mars is just in direct motion during that transit. However, if your house size is larger and or Mars is in retrograde motion at any time during the transit, it will be in that house for a longer period. Well, anyway, people, first thing I'll look at, when Mars is transiting one's 10th house, the first thing that stands out to me is that it could indicate a much more aggressive and assertive attitude in matters connected to your career, your livelihood. It could be with authority figures. It could indicate even in your career where even if you are, say, in a subordinate or subservient position, you might show more leadership qualities and attributes. It could be a time where you might even be promoted to a leadership position or some kind of supervisor like position at your job, in your career. This could be a time too where even isolated cases that might be maybe some contentious experience with government officials, even and maybe local government people or politicians, and other. Now you could also, it could indicate that perhaps with the dominant parent or the father or dominant parent, I should say, that it could indicate some acrimonious moments or verbally combative experiences. It could indicate at this point in time, as far as authority people in general, you might really become a little bit more exasperated at somebody showing their authoritative attitude and telling you or dictating to you what to do. It might bother you now a little bit more so than average during this transit. Now, it could also be a period where you look at Mars, and Mars is also connected with sex. So it could be possible that you might be attracted, maybe have a sexual attraction to somebody connected with like a 10th house like profession, such as somebody in the government, somebody connected in politics, somebody that is in business or say in a position of authority or some kind of management position, somebody that may act as like a mentor maybe, and someone and really this is also a period when you have Mars transiting your 10th house. It's just about being careful not to be overly combative in matters connected with authority figures, because this could be that time where you may speak your mind, but maybe too much so. It's okay to be assertive and to speak up when you have to, but when you're dealing, sometimes when you're dealing, you don't want to take the chance that you could be fired or terminated at the same time from that position connected with your career. Now, this could also be a time where maybe you decide to maybe initiate something in connection perhaps with starting maybe your own business, doing something, really something where you kind of do something independently and not be under anyone's supervision. You really, because Mars can be about initiative and enterprise. This could be a time where maybe you embark on a new career perhaps. This could also be a period where you look at the 10th house. It's connected with your social status and you might be looking at what might be more emphasized now is how you're stacking up against other people. If you're someone that you feel right now where you're at in your life compared to the average person, if you feel you're not doing well, whether it's monetarily or you're just your general position, you feel in your career, for example, and in life in general, this could be a time where you go about aggressively maybe trying to upgrade that and trying to make enhancements and improvements in connection with that. So, and also, we got to remember that the 10th house rules reputation as well. So this could be something where maybe on the negative side, when you look at Mars, Mars could be combative and it could be militant. So you don't want to be someone that might get maybe a reputation for maybe having a little bit of a temper during this time, and in some, I guess you could say, in some worst case scenarios, or maybe being overly aggressive or impulsive or impetuous. But on the positive side, it could be somebody that might be looked upon, you might be some more looked upon now as far as reputation goes, as being someone that has leadership attributes, with someone that shows courage and fortitude in matters. And these can be in someone that speaks their mind and being assertive. So those are some things to look at right now. I should say to look at if you have Mars transiting the 10th house in your natal chart. Well, anyway, people, it's also important to look at the sign that Mars is in for either, whether it's the majority or the whole time of the transit to your 10th house, as this could flavor the transit. Now, let's say that Mars is in Libra for either the majority or the whole time of the transit to the 10th house. Well, this could indicate that you may bring ability to a strong energy connected with reconciliation, negotiation, compromise, and may even incorporate a little tact and diplomacy, perhaps into matters connected with your career, to authority figures. Mars is aggressive, so you might, at this time you might be aggressively trying to go about doing these things if you got something to maybe reconcile with an authority figure, for example. And let's take another example. Let's say that Mars is in Scorpio for either the majority or the whole time of the transit to your 10th house. Well, this could indicate you may put forth a lot of energy, perhaps into investigating things deeply and in looking beyond what's superficial. And this could be connected perhaps in matters with authority figures and with maybe even the dominant parent in some cases, and maybe it could even be tied in some isolated cases to maybe some local government officials perhaps. Well, it's also important to look at the aspects that are made to your natal planets and points from this Mars transit in your 9th house, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say that transiting Mars is making a square, inconjunct, or opposition to your natal Mercury. Well, this could indicate being perhaps impetuous in communication with others, and maybe some acrimonious and combative periods in communication or I should say acrimonious and combative communications with others. Now, being in the 10th house, this could perhaps be with authority figures, maybe with somebody in your career somewhere. It could even be with the dominant parent. Now, let's take another example. Let's say that transiting Mars is making a sextile or trine to your natal Venus, and transiting Mars in the 10th house, of course. Well, this could be perhaps auspicious for applying aggressive and assertive energy into something, and perhaps into your relationships, perhaps in things that you love and enjoy. And being in the 10th house, and maybe it may actually be something maybe connected with the career that you really love, and in a relationship maybe you might embark on with something, with someone in your career field, or maybe even in business. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Mars transiting the 10th house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Mars transiting the 11th house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.